What's up, everyone? Bob's Blu-rays here, and today I've got another episode of Getting to Know Me More Than Movies. In today's topic, I'll be discussing running and what it means to me and why I'm so passionate about it. So stay tuned and I'll get right into it after this intro.
You have to go backwards on this.
Oh, okay.
So you see how Bob has the grip like that? I accidentally put my hand on the other side. And that's what messed me up on my first try.
Well, hopefully you enjoyed that little bit of an intro. But like I said, today we're going to be discussing running and racing and just competing, obstacle course racing, a lot of different things today. I'm going to dive deep into it, what it means to me, how I got started with it, why I'm so passionate about it, things like that. So let's go ahead and dive into the movies, because as I always do, I've got 3 different movies I'm going to discuss. I'll be showing a lot of clips today from the movies, but also clips and pictures of me from racing and highlights of my obstacle course racing and things like that. And I'm going to dive deep into it. And yeah, I'm just excited about it. And then I'm going to have some questions for the people watching at the end of the video. So here we go. Let's go ahead and start with the first movie. Let's just go ahead and get it kicked off with this movie called Overcomer. This is a faith-based movie, technically. The Kendrick brothers wrote and directed it. And they've also written and directed movies like Courageous and War Room and other movies like that. But this is a movie about a coach, cross-country coach. His basketball team gets canceled, I think because of funds, if I remember correctly, or something like that. And he's got to coach cross-country. And he's only got one runner, and she has asthma. So she has an inhaler, and she uses that when she runs sometimes. So anyways, this is the movie I'm going to pull for my first choice here. And it's just a lot of fun. It's very inspiring. If you're into running at all, you're going to absolutely love the ending of this movie. And I love running. And look, at the end of the day, you know, what you might say is cheesy or stupid or cliche, somebody else like myself is going to love. When it comes to sports movies, I absolutely love cliche movies. It doesn't bother me if it's a little corny or cheesy or unrealistic. I'm okay with that. This movie, and like many other sports movies, leave me feeling inspired and on the edge of my seat at the end of it. So I really enjoy it. The ending of this, in particular, this girl right here, her father's in the hospital and he kind of coaches her through the final race with her wearing headphones.
Hannah, if you're like me, this is where your body hits the wall, but we're gonna push through it. This is where you think like a winner. Most runners will slow down, but not you. You have half a mile to go, and it belongs to you. If your legs are burning, let them burn. Your lungs may be tired, but they're not done yet.
So it's really good. I would recommend this if you're into running just for that aspect. You don't have to be a Christian at all to enjoy this movie. I really personally enjoy this one a lot. I guess it's fresh on Rotten Tomatoes here. So that's my first choice right there. My second choice I'm going to pull is a movie that I just ordered so I could rewatch it, and I'm excited to pull it. I rewatched it last night, actually, and I got Run, Fat Boy, Run right here. This is Simon Pegg. You got Thandie Newton in it as well. I saw this in theaters a while back, I believe with my sister. I could be wrong, but it's very uplifting, very inspiring, and it's also funny. It's definitely got its moments. It's got its heartfelt moments as well. It's about a character, Simon Pegg, who runs out on his wife in the very beginning, or his fiance, I should say, and leaves her kind of at the altar, pregnant. And 5 years later, he's trying to get his life together, I guess. And he decides to sign up to run a marathon, I believe London Marathon. And he's out of shape, you know, he's technically so-called a fat boy. And it's also a lot of fun. It's heartwarming, it's inspiring, it's uplifting, and I enjoy this one quite a bit. And there's a scene at the end of this This isn't really a spoiler, but every runner, when you're running a marathon, will hit what you call a wall. Most runners, I should say. Not every runner, right? And I was there when I ran my first marathon. I was actually at I hit a wall a couple times, but I was at mile 24, I remember, of my first marathon, and hands on my knees. I felt like I couldn't move. And I remember it was crazy. My uncle showed up, and I felt somebody tap me on my back. And he's like, let's go, come on, finish. You got 2 miles left. And so he ran, jogged, slow jog or fast walk, whatever, with me for about a mile, mile and a half. And then the last half mile, I ran it in myself. And it was just awesome. It was just a great experience. And so that's his first marathon as well. And he hits a wall, as you see in the clip there. And it's very accurate. It's very real. It's obviously a metaphor, but you know what I love about running and marathons, and when you hit a wall, to anybody out there who's ever hit a wall, you know, it could be used as a metaphor for life. We oftentimes in life will hit walls, right? Whether it's in a career, it could be a marriage, it could be a relationship, it could be a job, school, a sport, as an athlete, anything in life, right? Financially, you could just hit a wall and you feel stuck and you don't know how to get through it. And sometimes you just got to fight. You got to keep going, push past it, and break down the wall as he does. So, you know, it's very important to keep moving forward. Don't quit. Keep moving forward no matter what.
All you're gonna want to do is give up.
I'm not the quitter.
That's exactly what you're gonna do, Dennis.
Come on, run away! Run away! Let's go, let's do!
So I use Run Fat Boy Run as my second option there. And my third one, and I absolutely love this movie. It's cliche. The character is playing a high school student, and he's much older, looks much older. But you got Billy Crudup in this one, who actually just got married to Naomi Watts this weekend, which I approve because I like Billy Crudup a lot. But you've also got Graham Rogers in this, Liana Liberato, I believe is how you pronounce her name, Stephanie Scott, and also Tim Roth. And this movie is called 1 Mile to You. There's also an alternate title. I believe they changed the name of it based off of a book. I'm not sure if the book came out after or before this movie, but I love this movie. I remember watching it. This is a very thick Blu-ray case because I think it came from the UK, but it's actually region free. It plays in region A players. I love this movie. It's got romance, but everything about this movie, and there's other movies out there that I could have used, but I don't own the physical copy, and I always like to pull the physical copy of it. I love this movie. That's what the book is called, based on the novel Life at These Speeds, and I believe they changed the name of it. So you're looking for this movie, maybe you want to look at Life at These Speeds. But it's about a character, the very beginning, basically loses his entire cross-country team in a bus crash. And he isn't on the bus. He's the only one. So he has survivor's guilt, of course. But he loses his girlfriend and his best friend on that bus and everybody else. And so he's going through a lot. And every time he runs and he runs faster, he could see them. And he pushes himself to want to run faster. And he trains for a 4-minute mile. And there's some moments in this movie, like when Billy Crudup's talking to him and he says, you run with your heart. Run with your heart.
You got endurance, but endurance doesn't mean anything. And you got speed. Speed is a fart in the wind. I need your body to know that you can run at this pace, that you can do it in your sleep. I need your mind to know it. I need your heart to know it. We're training for one race, 4 weeks away. I don't care what you feel like tomorrow. This, right now, is the test.
And I just love that. If you're a runner, you know, Vin from Hard Copy Blues is a runner. He's also very competitive, and he's a very fast runner. And I hope to run with him someday. But like a race, something like that, Vin, if you're watching. But yeah, 1 Mile to You, just very powerful. Yes, it's got cliche moments. It's pretty corny at times. It's a little cheesy. But you know what? Some of the things he goes through as a runner are quite accurate and real. At one point, he's peeing blood in the movie from overtraining. Been there. Different things like that. He's running through injuries. He's got blisters. It's just a lot of different things, and I can relate to a lot of the scenes in this movie. I love running fast. I love training and things like that. So I absolutely love 1 Mile to You. There's just a lot of great moments in this movie. A huge fan of it. But those are my 3 movies that I'm going to pull talking about running. And now I'm going to tell my story of how I got into running a little bit. So this could last a while. But when I was younger, I always ran. I ran cross country. I think I was in 5th or 6th grade when I was running cross country, but I wasn't very fast. And I got in some trouble and I couldn't run for a meet. And so I never ran in high school. I played some other sports, not really that much. And so I think I was like 20, I don't know, I think it was 2015. So I don't even know how old I was. I lose track of these things. But anyways, so it was like 2015. And I traveled to Nashville for like a convention, K-Love Fan Awards, if anybody's ever heard of that, with my sister. And there was a 5K there, and I had never ran a 5K race before. And so I signed up, I ran this race, and I started out in first place because, I'm going super fast, but I wasn't really trained for it at all. I trained like a week. And I burnt myself out, but at the end of the race, I still finished, 24 minutes or something like that. And I was getting ready to leave. I hung out, met some of the artists, all this stuff. And I was getting ready to leave, and I heard Robert Anderson for first place in his age group, 20 to 29 years old or something like that. And I got this medal, and it was so cool. I had never really won anything like that. I didn't anticipate getting anything. I didn't know that that's a thing. But I remember seeing the first place trophy for first place, for the overall winner. And I remember saying to my sister, because we had planned on coming back the next year, I was like, I want to win next year. Like, I want that trophy. That's a badass trophy. It's awesome. And so I got back home and I kept running and I signed up for other races. And then sometime in like August, I ended up winning first place overall in a 5K. That was exciting. And so I just kept running, kept racing and running different races in 2015. And then I ended up signing up for a marathon, ran my first marathon. And in 2016, I started running a lot, and I wanted to do this thing I wanted to become a Marathon Maniacs, which is actually a part of how the Hall of Fame stream I do was inspired, because there's a Hall of Fame for Marathon Maniacs. So for marathon runners, they have a Hall of Fame. And so that's kind of how a part of where I got inspired to start the Hall of Fame stream. And so, everything kind of comes full circle. But yeah, I ended up signing up basically to become a Marathon Maniac. You have to run 2 marathons in 16 days or 3 in like 90 days. So I signed up and I ran 3 marathons in 90 days. The third race I ran was not good. The first race was a lot of fun. It was my first ever sub 4-hour marathon. I remember being in tears. I ran to the side after it could be an emotional sport. And the third one I ran, though, was my worst time. I did really bad, and I pulled a muscle. And so at one point, somebody asked me, she's like, "Do you need to quit? Do you need to back?" I was like, no, absolutely not. And so I finished the race. I became a Marathon Maniac. But before I left, I was seeing a physical therapist, and he was like, I wouldn't run these 3 marathons. And I had already signed up. And you know how if you're an athlete out there, sometimes you don't listen. And I came back. And I was still running, and I was in a lot of pain. And I found out I had a sports hernia, and I had to go through physical therapy. So that was the first injury that I ever really gotten. Went through physical therapy, and then it was such a hard road back. I never got back to my same speed, really. And I ended up with knee injuries after that. I had back issues. I ended up falling doing a box jump years later, messed up my back really bad from that. I had a separated AC joint in my shoulder from a car accident. Somebody ran a light. And I had ankle injuries. I almost broke my foot. This was one of my most accomplishing moments. So in 2015, I signed up to run a 50-mile ultra marathon. And I got 2 laps through, so about 25 miles in, and it was pouring rain. I wasn't quite prepared for it. And I remember calling my dad, and I was like, come pick me up. And I think I was crying. And I went into such a dark place after that. I got depressed. I was in a very dark place for about a weekend, a couple weeks. And I hadn't attempted to run that again until 2021. I signed up to run it again. And I remember my dad calling me throughout the race. He's like, move it. You got 11 hours to finish. And I'll plug a picture here of the finish line at, I think, 10 hours, 48 minutes. And it was such a amazing accomplishment. And I remember my dad asking me, he's like, is that it? You know, you're in your 30s and are you done racing? And I was like, no. And I made my dad a promise, and he promised me if I sign up for the Zion Ultra 100-mile marathon, so it's an ultra marathon, it's a 100-mile race, he would have to come with me and kind of pit for me, and also he could pace me for a couple miles at a time, every like 30 miles or so. But yeah, so that's a big goal I'm working towards that I hope to do one day, is run a 100-miler. That would be an accomplishment. It would be such a great experience to go with my dad. And so those are some things, but I also got into OCR racing, which is obstacle course racing, in 2021. And that is so much fun. It's challenging. It's difficult. I have had highs and I've had lows. It's an amazing experience though. I've ran a couple races with my clients. Just different experiences. So the first ever OCR race I ran was called Strong as Oak. It's like a 4-mile run. You run with a 40-pound sandbag.
Let's go!
And you split it with you and your partner. And then I ran a race called Frontline OCR, and that's where you run with like a 16-pound vest. And 2 years in a row, I failed that race, and that broke me. And this past year, I didn't run it.
No, really.
Do I gotta stay in this lane? Can I cross
You
lane?
gotta stay in the lane.
All right, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's help you out. I really didn't come down here for you, but. Oh, no. There we got it. Got it, Bob. Breathe. Think about it. Don't launch yourself like that. There you go. Grab it. There it is.
And I'll plug a picture of that as well, if I remember. Me just broken on the ground from 2 years in a row, just not being able to finish this obstacle. The same obstacle took me out. But in October 21, I got to run a race called Highlander Assault. It's a 26.2-mile run with 100 obstacles. So you run 3 laps. It's like 30-something obstacles each lap. And that was actually the hardest race I've ever ran in my life. I think that was one of the most difficult moments in my life and difficult things I've ever gone through. It was like 88 degrees. I got through the first 2 laps and everything in me wanted to quit. But I remembered the feeling I had in 2015 when I quit my ultra marathon, the 50-mile race. and I remembered how painful that felt. I had that pain of quitting is so much worse than any kind of pain I could feel physically in that moment or for a couple days after. The pain of quitting stuck with me for years, and it still does. But once I finished that 50-mile race, it made it much better. But yeah, that's what kept me going in that 26.2-mile race. And I remember after the race, I was so excited. I came in last place, very last place.
Look at, he even dropped that thing down gently. It's just like,
It's control.
it is.
Sorry.
Are you gonna get that ring? He's gonna get that one.
My dad called me and he's like, so how'd you do? And he's like, I was like, I came in last place, but I finished. And he's like, I don't give a crap if you came in last place or not. He goes, you finished, and that's all that matters. He goes, I'm proud of you. And I remember having tears in my eyes driving home because I was just like, it meant the world to hear, you know, my dad say, I'm proud of you. And to some people, that just means a lot, you know. And I'm really close with my dad, and he's not like a very, doesn't talk about his feelings a lot. And so to hear my dad say those words on the phone, and just to have people take an interest and care means a lot, because I've never really had too many people show up to races. Like I said, never really dated at the time I used to run. I think my mom showed up to one or two. Never my sister. My dad's never been to a race. You know, so I usually just show up alone and do my own thing. And so support is huge, though. Support is huge. But that's kind of my story, how I got into it, OCR racing. I haven't ran a race in over a year. I really hope to get back into it. I ran 29 races in 2021, and then I ran one in 2022. It's the race that 2 years in a row that I failed to keep my vest. You know, you finish the race, you get a medal, but if you finish the race with the vest, you get to keep the vest. And that broke me 2 years in a row failing that. And so I didn't run it this past year. And it's just been eating away at me. And so I can't wait to dive back into running and racing. And so I've been training. Got up at 6 a.m. this morning. I got 3 hours of sleep. Got up at 6, ran a couple miles, went to the gym, got my workout in, and here I am recording before I work 13 hours. So that's kind of my schedule. That's my life, you know, hard work. You got to be disciplined consistently, work hard. And it's not always easy, right? But it's something I'm passionate about. It fuels me, it drives me. When I run and I accomplish something like that 26.2-mile race, moments like that, those are defining moments in your life, right? That can carry you through difficult moments. So if I had quit, I would always remember that, right? But instead, I pushed through it. And so when I have other difficult moments in life, I look back on that and I'm like, don't quit. Go through it. Deal with it. Go through it. Get a reward from it. Don't quit halfway through. You've come this far, finish it. And so it carries me through. I use that. Everything I do when I run and I accomplish something, it drives me to want to be better outside of running, to be a better friend, hopefully a better boyfriend one day, a better son, a better brother, different things like that, a better person, the best version that I can be of myself. And that's why I love running. That's why I'm so passionate about it. It's my first true love. I love movies, but there's nothing to me like running and competing a race, towing the start line of a race. It's just an incredible feeling. But I wanted to ask other people, what are your passions? What are you passionate about? What drives and fuels you so much that when you think about it and you talk about it, you love it so much, it just consumes you? For me, it's running, obviously. OCR racing, competing. I love to compete. I'm a competitor. I'm competitive. And some people could be dancing. It could be singing. It could be writing. You might like to write movies, write books, journaling. It could be anything, right? It could be movies, watching a movie. It could be basketball, football, sports, tennis, anything, golf. But I'm curious to hear other people. I'd love to know what are some of your passions? What do you love to do? What fuels you? What drives you? What is something that consumes you that you just love so much? I always love to hear that. It's crazy. It's funny because I call this a movie community that we're a part of, but I have a great support system around me in running. I signed up back when I used Facebook and stuff for like a running group I was on. And then I had an amazing group of people in the OCR community, like obstacle course racing. They're huge supporters. It's unbelievable how much they'll support you at a race and cheer you on and things like that. I've met great people there, just like I have in this, group and community. So super grateful for it. But I'll try and post a couple clips and some videos. One of the races I wanted to talk about that almost landed me with a broken foot was the 50-mile race I ran. So I ran that, finished in 10 hours, 48 minutes. You got to finish in under 11 hours. And so finished that. The next morning, I had 2 5Ks planned, one with a different client each. That's why I signed up for them. So the next morning, I ran a 5K, 12 hours after a 50-miler. And I came in first in my age group. So I ran really hard because I don't know how to take it easy. And so I was feeling okay. I was sore. I was tired. It was hard to get up in the morning, but I got out there, warmed up, finished that race, ran with my client. Such a cool experience. Awesome. I love that guy, love that client. And he works so hard. He pushes himself so hard. And then later on that evening, it was, I believe, because it was Halloween, I ran another 5K later on that day to try and pace my client to like a sub 27 5K, and he got like 27:30, so he didn't quite make that. But it was also a cool experience. It was his first 5K ever, and it's just, I love being able to support others. I love competing, I love racing, but I actually love helping others as well. I like to look out for people. It's why I got into training. I want to make a difference. And so I know I've talked to movies with James, and we've talked about passions, like he loves to rock climb. But I've told him I want to come to Colorado and run a marathon. And he's like, yeah, and I would, like, if you let me know when, I would love to train and run it with you. And I was like, that would be awesome. And then we kind of made a deal. I would rock climb. I like rock climbing as well, but I would go rock climbing if he trained to run a marathon. So it's really cool. You get to meet people. I've talked to Fish about being a pit member, like a pit crew for me, for a race in the future, and he was so on board. So it's just, you really meet some incredible people in this community. It's not perfect. No community is. Nobody is. But I try to do my best. I try to look out for everybody. Always the little guy, the people with under 100 subscribers. I stick with it. It's tough. I understand, Caveman. I know you're, newer to YouTube, or you're coming back. Tiana as well. You just came back. Caprice, you're getting started. Stick with it. Be patient. It takes time. It's difficult. I understand. You want to make a name for yourself and things like that, but you guys are all doing great. So stick with it. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate everybody who watches these. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. It's a longer one. It's something I'm super passionate about. So when you get talking about something you're passionate about, it's very easy to just go into detail and talk about it. And there's other things. I've got so many other stories, some bad stories about injuries and some things that men will deal with as runners that I won't dive deep into on here, but a few people know some stories about it. But if you ever want to know them, you could Instagram DM me and I would tell you the stories. But they could be gross at times. Runners deal with some stuff. But yeah, it's something I love, and I would rather go through pain and do something I love rather than feeling like I'm dying a little bit every day not doing something I love. And I dealt with that for years. I was broken after that 50-mile race I failed. And I just, being hurt and wallowing and pity parties and all that stuff, and I just gave up. I quit, basically. And I was broken because of that race. And I felt like I lost a part of me that I was never the same for like 5 years. And running at one point helped me through some really dark times. So I think you got to have that. Some people, could be a marriage, it could be a daughter, a son, a wife, a husband, anything, right? But you need to have something that could pull you through, something that you could turn to when you're at your darkest times. And running was always that for me, and super grateful for it. So thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I'm going to show some video clips and some photos of some race highlights and things like that. But thank you once again. And once again, please sound off in the comment section. Let me know what your passions are, what you're passionate about. And until next time, have a great day.
Oh my jeez. Oh God. No. Wow. Nice. You got it. Yeah. Nice.
Beautiful.
Oh, you're there. You're almost there, man. Up, up, up.
Good job.
All right.
Finishing the trident with his band.